Flowers withering in the midday sun mark the grave of another victim of political unrest in the Gulf island state of Bahrain. Saeed al-Iskafi was just 16 years old when he died. He is seen taking part in a peaceful demonstration, here walking across the foreground of the picture. He is just one of the people who have died in clashes with the security forces since December 1994. Photographs of his body taken in the mortuary show signs of torture, which it is believed took place behind the walls of this police station. A causeway 30 kilometers long links Bahrain to Saudi Arabia, just across the waters. Bahrain today boasts a population of just 400,000 people. With a name appropriately translated as Two Seas, Bahrain has straddled the important India to the Middle East trade route since commerce first began. The land of pearls, the country has been described as the pearl of the Gulf, largely immune from the violence that affected other countries in the region. Its people are hard-working, good-humoured and warm-hearted. Priding themselves on being amongst the first outside the Arabian Peninsula to adopt Islam, Bahrainis have always placed religion at the forefront of the movement to enhance the country's status. Sheikh Isa Qassem, a former member of parliament, clearly places the responsibility for the current problems at the door of the government.
We must say the responsible word, not only in one day, not only in one specific way, but every day and by everyone. It has to be said that the responsibility lies completely with the officials.
A love of trading has seen the people of Bahrain travel throughout history to many countries, and they have always accepted the people of other lands as guests and workers in their own country. Since being conquered by the Al Khalifa tribe in 1783, Bahrain has been under their direct rule. Shortly afterwards, the British came to the Gulf, assuming the protection of several small sheikdoms along its western rim. The discovery of commercially viable oil reserves in the 1930s coincided with the collapse of the world pearl market and transformed the Bahraini economy. The rule of the Al Khalifas continued following the withdrawal of the British in 1971 and the establishment of independence. At the same time, the movement towards a more open political system began in earnest. In 1972, Bahrain's first National Constituent Assembly was elected. It started debating important issues, including labour laws and the budget, but its life was tragically short-lived. The government, encouraged by proposals from expatriate Briton Ian Henderson, proposed a draconian bill for state security. When the National Assembly rejected it outright, the Prime Minister resigned. The next day, the 26th of August 1975, the Emir issued a decree which has since become notorious, suspending the Constitution and dissolving the National Assembly. Today's graffiti calls for the return of parliamentary politics, much of it written by people too young to remember their country's brief flirtation with democracy. For 20 years, the people of Bahrain have been struggling hard to reinstate the constitution, but their calls have gone unheeded. For many, life has changed very little. It is still a hard struggle to earn the money needed to survive. At the same time, the country has grown increasingly rich, thanks to the proceeds from the oil industry and offshore banking services. But the country's wealth has not been shared by all its people. Both the economy and government are dominated by members of the ruling Al Khalifa family. Many villages have benefited little from the vast and rapid economic growth. Conditions such as these have fueled demands from Bahrainis, Shia and Sunni alike, for political reform. It comes as a shock to see women begging, whilst other citizens have untold wealth. In late 1994, a group of former members of parliament, including Sheikh Abdul Amir al-Jamri and other leading figures, began to gather signatures on a petition calling for change. Tantamount to a national referendum on the issue of political participation, it was signed by thousands attending mosques, clubs and other institutions. Sheikh al-Jamri was detained by the security forces following a dawn raid on his home. Imprisoned for many months, his eventual release was welcomed by many leading figures.
On behalf of the patriotic Democrats, I greet these crowds who have struggled to achieve the goals of the people.
As the petition gathered pace, the Al Khalifa government tried to preempt the popular movement by arresting a leading supporter of the petition, Sheikh Ali Salman. People reacted by taking to the streets in an explosion of anger that had been building up over the years. Within a few days of the arrest of Sheikh Salman, the whole of Bahrain was in a state of militant civil disobedience. Despite the peacefulness of the protests, Ian Henderson, the Director of Public Security, and the very man whose draconian security proposals had precipitated the dissolution of Parliament 20 years earlier, reacted by ordering an all-out offensive against unarmed demonstrators. Demonstrators, armed only with aerosols of spray paint, have been attacked with canisters of tear gas and bullets. Parliament is our demand, says the graffiti the government has tried to conceal.